A thing of natural beauty.
When the storm clouds of Greater Cleveland roll in with angry faces, they charge with a windy and wet arsenal. Winds we do not harness, rains we try to handle. So storm sewers made by man gulp in the water, directing the rain into natural waterways.
Eventually it gets to a little headwater, a small stream, and goes to a larger stream.
Roy Larrick is a geologist. He and Tori Mills, executive director of the Doan Brook Watershed Project, celebrate the beauty of a waterway winding through the Heights and the Cleveland Eastside neighborhoods. Celebrated is Doan Brook.
You'll cover a lot of the geology, as you always do so well, and where we'll talk about some of the history.
Roy Larrick and Tony Mills note how Doan Brook begins in Shaker Heights, moving generally northward. They study its route, interestingly, where it changes its character into a Shaker Heights lake. Generations ago, right here, a religious group called the North Union Shakers harnessed part of the Doan. They made several Shaker Heights lakes this way. In the early 1800s, the North Union Shakers did the first work.
They dammed areas where they could then put in a water wheel and turn a shaft, and that could help them grind grain, operate machinery, saws and the like.
From the dams of the Shaker Lakes, now recreational areas, the brook water moves quietly. While people go about their lives, the rainfall, now at brook level, pushes on. Those of us who track it push on with it.
If we were to follow this water, brook, where would we end up?
We would end up in Lake Erie after a few obstacles, shall we say.
Downstream, the Doan plunges. We are in a steep valley near the Shaker Heights intersection of Kemper and Fair Hill roads. What nature created thousands of years ago, humans sometimes refit for man's use. About 190 years ago, using this waterfall, the Shakers built a grist mill to grind their grain.
It was the largest structure on the east side in the 1830s. There was nothing like it.
There's human industrial history right here.
This is industrial history.
We're in a section of the area where Cleveland Heights, Shaker Heights, and the city of Cleveland all kind of come together. This is a gorge here of the Doan Brook. During heavy rainfall times, that gorge can actually fill up with water. On real heavy days, you don't even see the rock at all. But that's our old friend, Doan Brook, and it's headed that way, bound for Lake Erie.
But surprise, once the brook reaches Cleveland's University Circle, it disappears. Well, not really. Humans just redirected its flow for a stretch into culverts below concrete Cleveland and the city's crisscrossing traffic. A marker above ground announces Doan Brook, below ground.
Do you think the people who's driving along this section of University Circle would be surprised to know that Doan Brook is underneath them?
They are always surprised to know that.
A half mile later, it reemerges, now on its last few miles leg, traveling inside stone walls erected to prevent erosion. Through Cleveland's Rockefeller Park, skipping playfully near the Cultural Gardens and the Glenville neighborhood, the brook babbles for Lake Erie. A story many thousands of years old, but which can have a romantic touch. Love and romance on Doan Brook? Just ask the Doan Brook Watershed Project's Tori Mills. Her life began with a family love story 5 generations ago.
My family actually had a farm along the Doan Brook, and apparently my great-great-great-grandparents met when they were gathering water down at the spring. The Doan Brook obviously played some role in them getting together.
There is something romantic about settings like this, though, isn't there? People come and have their wedding pictures taken.
Exactly.
If not their weddings themselves, right?
Yeah, no, water is inspiration.
Biography of a brook which tells its old story to those who know how to read it. There is that man-made lake chapter, and the chapter on settlers harnessing brook power to grind grain, and others too. Long before humans, the brook was writing its story. It still writes how it crooks through a corner of my Ohio. The Doan Brook never sleeps because it is a restless writer, knowing this water has a ways to go for its appointed date with Lake Erie. In my Ohio, Leon Bibb, News 5 on Doan Brook.